guys, so I hope you are ready to play with some new makeup with me. I'm going to be doing a first impressions wear test today of Kokie Cosmetics. Kokie is a new drugstore brand. They are sold here in the US at Walmart. I got to talk to one of their social media PR managers at Generation Beauty New York over the weekend, and she basically let me take home like everything I need to do a full face of makeup from Kokie, which was so generous of them. So we are gonna put all these products to the test. I'm gonna give you my first impressions, and then we're gonna do a check-in later today and see how they wear over several hours. I'm hoping like a minimum of like 8 to 10 hours. I will have all this makeup on my face, and then we'll see, you know, if anything breaks up or fades or looks weird or anything like that. For those of you who are new to my channel, hello and welcome. My name is Lauren. Thank you so much for coming, hanging out and chatting beauty with me. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I hope you'll click that little subscribe button down there somewhere. Come back, hang out with me again in the future. I've got a lot of fun stuff planned for October, maybe some Halloween stuff. I've got holiday anti-hauls, some more reviews and tutorials and all kinds of good stuff, so I hope you'll stick around and come back. But in the meantime, let us make my face less naked. Right now I'm like feeling super glowy. I just did a sheet mask like half an hour ago, so we need to get this ball rolling. We need to get my day started, so let's put on some makeup. All right, I zoomed you guys in a little bit closer so you can actually see what the heck I am doing. So I did not get a primer from Kokie, so we're gonna skip that. My skin, like I said before, is pretty hydrated right now because I did a sheet mask earlier today, so I definitely feel like my skin is very well prepped. For makeup, I always, recommend either you put a primer or a moisturizer on before you do your foundation so it just glides on easier. So the first product that we're going to be trying out here is the Skin Perfect HD foundation. I have the shade 30W, which is a warm toned shade. Hopefully this will match me okay. And it says this is a mid coverage natural finish foundation that offers flawless high definition perfection in every light. So it doesn't say that it's like super long wearing. I mean, we'll see. It looks like it's a water-based foundation. It says shake well. So we're gonna shake, shake, shake. So it has a pump. I love that. Definitely feel like pumps make things way more sanitary and just easier to use. So I'm gonna just pump one pump out on the back of my hand to start. So you can see this is a relatively liquidy foundation. It's not like water, completely liquidy, but it definitely is a little bit more runny. I'm going to use my NYX blending sponge to apply this to one half of my face, and we'll maybe do a brush on the other side just to see if there's any difference in how this applies. I actually do feel like this is going to be a good color match for me for summer, because I definitely am still tan. Once that goes away, we're getting to that point where the sunshine is going to leave us soon and I'm going to start being a pasty white princess. But for the meantime, I think this shade looks like it will work. I guess we'll see also if it oxidizes. So with the sponge, I definitely feel like this is a medium coverage. Like it evened out my skin tone nicely. It does look very natural. It was pretty dewy when I put this on. So it's got a bit of a glow to it. It's not really mattified, and it's kind of sort of blurred out the look of my imperfections, but my skin doesn't look like cakey. You can still see like my moles and things like that are popping through. So let's see if the coverage is any different if I use a brush. I'm gonna use this Royal & Langnickel Moda Complexion brush. Let's see how this works. So I just put another pump on to the back of my hand. So I don't think the two sides of my face look super different, but I do feel like I like the coverage, or like the way that it blended in, a little bit better on the sponge side than with the brush side. And I'm also curious to see if I can build this up a little bit more. So I'm just going to take one more pump. So now we're at 3 pumps. And I'm just going to take my sponge now, and I'm just going to kind of see how much I can build up over my sort of more red areas, the coverage of this foundation. So to wrap this up, this definitely feels like a very moisturizing foundation, but it's not like ridiculously dewy. I feel like the coverage is really nice. It blended in really easily. It feels very lightweight on my skin. It doesn't feel heavy or cakey. So like first impressions wise, in terms of how this feels and looks on initial application. It's really, really nice. So I'm curious to see what the lasting power is like, whether or not it settles into any fine lines, if it oxidizes or does anything weird. So we will definitely update you on that one later today. Now I'm going to brighten things up a little bit on my under eyes. I grabbed their Be Bright Illuminating Concealer in the shade Medium Light. This looks like it's a very peachy undertone, so I'm curious to see how this will work with this foundation. It doesn't really say anything on the actual tube about this product, but I'm gonna guess because it's an illuminating concealer, it's going to be brightening. So we'll see how much coverage and like how moisturizing this formula is. I'm just going to take a little bit of this under my eyes. So it seems, okay, just from the doe foot, like it seems kind of on the more sheer side. Like this doesn't seem like it has a ton of coverage. So I think this is gonna be more for brightening than like a lot of like color correcting, or if like you have a lot of darkness to cover up. I don't know how much that's gonna give you, but we'll see. I'm just gonna blend this in with my sponge. Now I have a pretty defined like lines right underneath my eyes, and concealer always, like no matter what I do, tends to settle in there. But otherwise I feel like the coverage on this is very light. It is illuminating. I definitely do feel like that brightened up my eyes a little bit, but it's not like as pigmented as say like the Tarte Shape Tape or something like that. So I would say like if you have like a lot of color correcting to do, this may not be the best choice for you, but if you just kind of have like very light under eye circles and you just want to add a little like brightness and lightness, it does feel good. It doesn't feel heavy. It's a very lightweight, kind of more natural textured concealer. So I didn't get a like face powder, like a specific finishing powder from Kokie, but what I did get was this powder contour palette, which, look at this. Tell me, does this not look like ABH or Kat Von D or like any like really expensive contour palette? And this retails for I think $13. So I'm really hoping that this is good. I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is set my face down with, or at least I'm gonna start with my under eye with this like light highlighting shade that looks kind of neutral, and see how that goes for me, because I do feel like because I'm very oily, if I don't set this concealer and foundation down, it's gonna get shiny, even if for a normal person it wouldn't. Like I am somebody that usually needs to powder. So I'm gonna take my Kat Von D brush here, and we're just gonna tap into this and see. It's not like super ridiculously powdery, like there's not a lot of kick up in the pan, which is good. So let's see how this goes. I'm just gonna set over that concealer first, especially. So just as an FYI, like to the touch, these powders feel very smooth, like they feel very finely milled, but they do feel like they're a little bit more on the dry side. It's not like super creamy, but that's not necessarily a bad thing if you don't want your product to be like hella shiny. So I am just gonna go and I'm gonna set down the center of my face with this same highlighting shade just to soak up any extra shine. So that definitely mattified my skin, but like my pores actually look pretty small. Like I don't really feel like anything is like the texture of my skin is enhanced. It actually looks really nice. So I feel pretty good so far about how my face is looking. So on that note, let's add some contour, because I feel like right now my face is looking very flat. So I'd like to add in just a little bit of dimension back into my face. I am going to use, let's see, I love using like an angled blush brush actually for contour. I feel like it really gets in that hollow of the cheek very easily. So I think, what do I want to do? I think what we'll do is, I actually really like that this shade here is nice and cool, and so is this, and it's a little bit deeper. Let's start with the lightest cool shade, and we're gonna just, you know, because it's always easier to add more than it is to add if you add too much and then you go crazy. All right, this time I had a lot more kick up in the pan. It might just be because I'm using a denser brush. I'm gonna tap off the excess, and we're just gonna start gently buffing this. I actually do like this shade. I think it's a nice contour color. Like it kind of does give you that natural shadow, especially on my skin tone, which is kind of like, you know, more of a light medium, maybe a little bit more towards medium now that it is the end of summer. Well, it's technically fall, but I still have my summer tan. And it doesn't look like too streaky. It's blending pretty nicely. I dig that. that's pretty good. So I'm gonna take now the middle shade here, which is a little bit more warm, and I'm gonna bring this up around like my hairline, just to add a little bit of color in that area. I always like to warm up the hairline because I feel like your skin kind of naturally is darker there, so when you put foundation on, it kind of makes your like face lose that dimension. Just make sure you blend it all the way back so you don't have like a weird stripy thing going on the edges of your face. And take a little bit across the bridge of my nose, kind of gives you a little sun-kissed look when you do that. And we'll take a little bit down here along the jawline. So first impressions wise, I think this actually looks pretty nice. I feel like the quality of these powders, they're all matte. They're very easy to work with. This is a really nice palette if you have like a light to medium complexion. Obviously, if there's only one shade, that kind of stinks if you're a deeper complexion, because these are going to be way too light for you. So that is something, hopefully maybe they'll release like a deep version of this in the future. That would be really nice. But if you can make this work for your skin tone on first impressions, I feel like this is very natural, very easy to work with. It's a really like a decent contour palette, especially for $13. So next I'm going to move on to blush. I have the Kokie Blush Up Little Trio palette here. This is super cute. These look really nice shades. I picked these because I thought they would be really fall appropriate. This is the shade Demure, and it's got like really nice mauve tones to it. They all look matte. Let's give this a little swatch. They feel very similar to the contour powders, where they feel very smooth, but not like overly creamy. It's like a nice texture. The pigmentation on these looks really, really pretty, actually. I'm digging this a lot. Like, you get pigmentation for sure, but it's not like that so overly pigmented you're afraid you're gonna give yourself clown cheeks. So I really dig that. I think, what do I wanna do? I think we're gonna start by going in with the middle shade. And I'm gonna use this little, let's see, my Real Techniques blush brush here. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this on the brush, tap off any excess, and let's just start right here on the apples and blend back. Yeah, these are very, very easy to work with, which I really appreciate. And maybe what I'll do is I'm gonna take a little bit of this darker shade here, just like a teeny little bit, and I'm just gonna put this kind of like right in the back, like blended on top of where my contour is. So you can kind of get away with having a little bit of a deeper blush farther back there. I definitely was really impressed with that little blush trio. It immediately makes me think of like the Makeup Forever blushes that just launched and the Anastasia Beverly Hills like blush trios. Like if you didn't want to spend $30, $40 on a blush compact, this is a really excellent alternative. The shades are really beautifully coordinated, and I believe it retails for around $10. So very, very affordable, and I like the finish. It's very smooth, blended out really nicely. That one was pretty nice in my book. Let's hope that it lasts. For highlighter, I have this Strobing Palette, which looks really cool. You get 4 shades in here. Ooh, snap. I love me a good highlight. So these all do look like they have shimmer to them. Let's swatch and see how these feel. All right, these feel a bit creamier than the blushes. So these look kind of more sheerly pigmented. They do feel really nice, but they definitely aren't like a wham bam in your face metallic kind of highlight. These definitely are a little bit more of a natural glow, and they're all a bit on the lighter side. So that's what they all look like swatched. So not bad. So basically this may or may not be your cup of tea. If you're someone who likes a really metallic highlight, these will probably be too subtle for you. I think I want to use today, I think I'm going to use this highlight right here in the top right of the palette. I'm going to use my Moda Highlight and Glow brush, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this on here, tap off the excess. There is a little bit of powder kicking up there, and then we'll just blend this on top of the cheekbones. It actually does give a really nice glow when it's actually on the skin. That's more light reflective than I was expecting from the swatches. This is why some swatches can be nice, but you gotta put things on your face to really know whether or not you're gonna like them. Don't judge a book by its cover, guys. That's really pretty, actually. That's very stunning and actually really quite glowy, but it's like the kind of glowy that's not like, it doesn't emphasize the texture of your skin a lot. It like just catches the light really beautifully and kind of makes your skin look dewy. So I actually really like that a lot. I definitely will have to play with the other shades on my face. All right, Kokie, so far so good. So far we are doing good. I haven't really disliked anything. Now we're gonna do some brows because my brows desperately need to be filled in. I'm gonna be using the High Brow Angled Eyebrow Pencil. I have the shade Rich Brunette. So this has a spoolie on one side and it's got one of those sort of like triangular brow pencils on the other side, similar to like I think Benefit Goof Proof or the Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's not the Brow Wiz, it's the other one, the Brow Stylist, maybe. So this is a little bit one of those pencils, it's like it'll be faster to fill your brows in because it's a bigger pencil. So let's see how this goes. All right, it feels pretty stiff in consistency, but not like it's like gonna rip my eyebrows out, which is good. I'm gonna turn it so that I can like get the more pointy end to kind of get around the detailed areas. I'm used to using a really like tiny eyebrow brush, so I'm gonna definitely need to work with this a little bit because just the shape is different than I'm used to, but it appears to be applying nicely. The spoolie on this is like super chunky also, so I'm not like a huge fan of that because I feel like it's a little bit difficult to control. I feel like if you have bigger, bushier eyebrows, this pencil would be super handy to fill them in really quick. For me, I feel like because my eyebrows are kind of naturally a little bit more thin and sparse, I've got to be a little bit more careful. This also does seem pretty pigmented, so I'm just trying to make sure that I don't like go overboard and make my eyebrows look totally crazy. All right, so verdict on the eyebrows. I feel like this is definitely it's not bad. It's something I would need to get used to because the shape is just bigger than what I normally would use for my brows. I usually use like a very thin pencil. We'll see how well it actually wears in my brows, but I don't feel like they look bad. It was pretty pigmented, so I feel like especially with this darker shade, you kind of have to be careful not to go overboard. So I kind of feel like this is not my favorite product I've used so far, but I don't feel like, you know, it looks terrible, especially once I put my eyeshadow on. I always feel like brows look a little crazy when you're not wearing any eyeshadow, so I think once my whole face is done, it will kind of blend in well. Speaking of eyeshadow, I have one of these little 9-pan palettes here. This is the Smoulder eyeshadow palette. So these are really quite tiny little pans. I'm curious to see how these actually perform. So let me do just a couple of swatches for you guys. I've got this champagne shade. That swatches nicely. That's good. And then I've got this like matte, like crease transition shade. That also swatching really nicely. I'll try this purple color here. Purples are tough. The purple seems a little bit more lackluster. Like I think it'll be nice for smoking things out, but it's not as pigmented as those other two shades. So let's play around with these with some actual brushes. I'm gonna start, let's see. I'm gonna take a fluffy crease brush here and I'm gonna go into this top shade in the middle and we'll just blend this all up in my crease as a transition color. That seems to be blending out pretty nicely, I think. It seems to be pretty easy to work with. I mean, this is a pretty light shade, so I wasn't expecting it to be like crazy pigmented on the eyes. I picked out sort of a more reddish lip, so I don't want to go like crazy ham on my eyes today. So I think what I'm gonna do, I think I want to take that shade that I swatched, that pretty sort of taupey champagne-y color. I want to pat this with my finger all over the lid, and then we'll smoke things out in the inner corner a little bit more. This color just seemed to be going on pretty nicely with your fingers. I definitely prefer applying shadows with this kind of texture with my hands as opposed to a brush because I think it just packs the color on a little bit better. All right, so now I want to deepen things up a little bit. I'm going to go into this shade here in the middle in the bottom, which is looks like a matte dark brown. I'm going to make sure I tap off the excess. There does seem to be a bit of fallout with this particular shade. So I'm going to start here in the outer corner. So I think that's applying pretty nicely. I like the way that's looking. What I'm going to do is go in with a clean, another clean blending brush. I'm going to take this matte bone shade up here in the top left of the palette. This one seems a little bit stiffer. There's a little less kickback. I'm going to use this to highlight the brow bone and just to blend out the edge so there's no harsh lines here. I feel like on my skin you can't even really see that shade at all. Like it's not really showing up very much. And also I feel like this edge right here, having a little bit of a tough time blending it out. I'm gonna take a little flat brush here and I'm gonna go in with that first transition shade that we use, and I'm gonna take this along the lower lash line. Usually I try to do whatever I do on the top lashes on the bottom just to kind of like tie everything together. Then I'm going to go in with that second darker brown shade, concentrate this more on the outer corner. Gonna not get it all up in my eye because that would be good. Now I didn't pick up an actual like pencil or gel liner from Kokie. So what I think I'm gonna do is grab this sparkly black shade here on my little flat definer brush, and I'm gonna try to use this as a liner. We shall see how it goes. I'm gonna kind of smoke it out a little bit along the top lash line. So a couple of things. I feel like I definitely notice that I have some fallout under my eyes. These are very powdery eyeshadows, so that I'm not super crazy about. They blend out all right, but they are not like my favorite eyeshadows that I've ever used. And that black shade was not super intensely pigmented. Like it gave a little bit of a smoky appearance to the eyes, but it's not like a really intensely pigmented black shade. And also, since there is no like shimmery light shade in the eyeshadow palette, I'm gonna go back into my highlighter and I'm gonna take a little like pencil brush and I am just going to apply a little bit of this to the inner corner of my eyes as a highlight. Gotta be resourceful. So for mascara to finish off our eyes, we're gonna be trying out this volume and length mascara from Kokie. Let's see what this wand looks like. Alright, so it's like slightly conical in shape. It looks like it has natural bristles. It's not like a plastic bristled brush, so we shall see. I definitely want all the volume in my mascara, so let's see how this bad boy does. The big thing for me with mascara is, does it flake? Does it smudge? Will it make me look like a raccoon in 10 hours? Because ain't nobody got time for that. So immediate first thoughts. This is a very natural mascara. Like it's not super wet to the point where it makes your lashes like clump together or like look a bajillion times bigger. It does definitely add definition, but it still gives them that very soft sort of fluttery look, which some people I know like really like that. Some, you know, if you don't want a mascara that makes your eyes look like you're wearing false eyelashes and that's like super crazy, you may actually really like a formula like this. Like it's definitely doing something, but it still adds a lot of separation to the lashes and makes them look fluttery and natural. So I feel like this is a good one to wear for like every day, for work, for school, if you want, you know, your lashes to look like lashes and not look super crazy dramatic. And it looks like it does layer well. Like I'm going in with a second coat on this eye and it's not getting super clumpy, so I like that. Like my lashes look really long but still fluttery, so I actually dig this. And the brush is really easy to work with because it's kind of nice and thin, so it gets in between your lashes really easily. And finally, lips. I picked a really beautiful fall berry red kind of shade. This is the lip powder, I would assume is how you pronounce this, Poudre. It's their liquid matte powder. So apparently Tati really loves this formula, and I love Tati, so I wanted to give it a whirl. This is in the shade Garnet. So I love a good ruby red lip for fall, but they can be a little tricky, especially if this color is not opaque, which looks like is not the case. This is super, super opaque, very lightweight feeling formula, very liquidy. I feel like that went on really nice, very opaque, very even. My lips don't look streaky, and I like the applicator on this. It's a pretty flat, like wide doe foot, but it has a nice edge, so you can really like get right along the edge of your lips with a pretty like fair amount of precision. This feels really comfortable on the lips. It feels very lightweight. Like it doesn't even really feel like I have anything on. I'm curious once this dries down to see how matte it is, how transfer resistant, and all that jazz. So here is my full face of Kokie makeup, drugstore, affordable goodness. I think this actually looks beautiful. I love this. I love this look. I'm actually really quite pleased with pretty much everything. I think the least favorite product of everything I used today was the eyeshadow palette. I'm a stickler when it comes to eyeshadow, and they were okay, but they did not blow me out of the water. They were like not wonderfully pigmented. They were very, you know, easy, like safe eyeshadows to work with if you want a very soft eye, but I definitely liked something with a little bit more punch to it. I think all the face products though are absolutely stunning. I love the contour palette, the blush, the highlight looks freaking stunning, and that definitely surprised me. This lip color is really beautiful. Even the brows, I feel like now that I have my whole face together, looks all right. So definitely am going to wear this for the rest of the day. Let me see what time. Let me find out what time it is right now. So it is currently 1:15, so I will check in with you guys later this evening and let you know how all of this makeup holds up throughout the day. So it is just about, it's 10 of 7 right now, so I'm going on like 5.5 hours of wearing this makeup, and I thought I would do a little check-in for you guys and let you know how everything is holding up so far. Alright, so as you can see, the lip has worn off pretty considerably. Now I did have a snack, I had some pie earlier, I had dinner, so I definitely have been eating and drinking. Also, with having my Invisalign and having to take my trays in and out, I definitely noticed that this lip would rub off on my fingers. So this is not a transfer-proof matte formula. It's really comfortable matte formula. It doesn't feel super drying, but it definitely does not dry down to a non-transferable finish. Like this was like getting everywhere. It did get on my Invisalign trays a little bit. So I think that's also contributed to some of the wear. Like you can see like the whole like middle part of my lip, like there, it's a little bit stained, but for the most part, like I've got that lip line left, and I feel like I have little smudges in the corners of my mouth from probably putting my fingers in my mouth, taking my trays out, which is definitely kind of a pain in the butt. But otherwise, so the blush and the bronzer, I feel like, and the highlight are still really going strong. My skin still looks really nice. I'm starting to get like a little bit shiny around my nose and in my T-zone. I am very oily skin, so that kind of happens with me with just about every foundation. I also am having, right around my nose, I have allergies, so my foundation tends to rub off like right in this area, and that has definitely happened, but the brows still look pretty good. I mean, overall, it doesn't look terrible. I definitely feel like the lip needs touching up for sure. The eyeshadow actually it looks about the same as it did previously. I haven't seen any flaking or anything like that from the mascara, so that is doing really well. So all in all, I feel like things are looking pretty good. I just definitely, at the 5-hour mark now, I need to blot away some of this shine. I probably will not reapply the lip at this point in the evening because I'm staying home, so I might just take off the rest of this situation, and then we will see how the rest of this makeup holds up for my final check-in before I go to bed and like wash my face and my makeup off. But for 5 hours or so, I feel like it actually looks decent, and I think, you know, just with this particular lip, it's something that you probably want to reapply if you're going to be eating and drinking, because it definitely will wear away in that respect. Hey guys, so it is 10:30. I am pretty toast right now. I am ready to go to bed, so I'm going to do a final check-in on this Kokie Cosmetics full face of makeup. I've got my mirror here so I can check out this situation. So basically it looks like my blush is pretty much gone. The bronzer actually held up pretty well, but the blush looks like it's faded a lot. There's like a tiny bit of highlight left, but it's mostly also faded. My eyebrows actually seem like they held up pretty well. They still look like they're on there pretty good. I don't see really any smudging. The eyeshadow actually also held up all right. I don't really feel like it was very impactful to begin with. So it's faded a little bit, especially the sparkle and the shine on the eyes. I feel like that's faded a bit, but the area that I put the like liner shade on looks all right. I don't see any flaking or anything like that from the mascara. The mascara actually is really nice. It hasn't been irritating my eyes or anything like that at all, so that I definitely am a fan of. Obviously the lip product is totally gone. I took that off. That I would say wore pretty solidly for a good 3-4 hours. It probably would have held up longer had I not been eating, drinking, touching it, taking my Invisalign aligners out and all that jazz. So it definitely was a really nice comfortable matte formula, but not transfer proof. And then as for the foundation, so I have a little bit of an all over glow going on right now, but I have very oily skin, so that's pretty normal. And I didn't set this down with a mattifying powder. I just used this contour kit here to set down my face. So I'd be really curious to use this foundation with like a mattifying setting powder to see how that helped control the shine. But I don't feel like I look crazy greasy. And truthfully, it's actually like, it looks pretty good. I have had quite a bit of my foundation rub off around my nose because I know I was touching that area because allergies, my nose like never stops running. And I see that it's like breaking up a little bit on my chin, which is another one of my trouble spots. So all in all, I feel like it actually wore pretty well and looks pretty decent considering I didn't use a primer, I didn't use a setting spray, I didn't use any of my normal mattifying stuff. So I'm really excited to try this foundation concealer situation out again. And actually, speaking of which, like my under eyes don't look like crazy creasy or cakey. They look pretty good. So all in all, I have to say, I really am pretty impressed with this whole Kokie makeup collection. I think for the price, the quality is really nice. I feel like this foundation, you have like a really nice frosted glass bottle and a pump. Like the packaging on some of these things, like the eyeshadow quad is not super impressive packaging wise, but it's not bad. Like for Drugstore, I feel like it looks pretty nice. A lot of the quality of these things actually really did impress me, and I will have to use them more to give them a full proper wear test, but so far so good. I think that, you know, maybe in a couple of weeks I'll be able to give you guys more of an in-depth update on what my final thoughts on everything is. If you guys enjoy these makeup brand tested first impression wear test type of videos, please give this one a thumbs up. I really appreciate your support. And again, if you're new and you want to see more beauty videos from me, make sure you click that subscribe button before you go. I will be posting again on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday every single week, so I really hope to see you back. And in the meantime, I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.